Getting Jedd Fisch's contract situation figured out, what the last game meant, and taking care of those assistants. All that and more on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, and thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now on this show, we are going to talk about Jedd Fisch, getting him paid, getting his assistants paid, all of that. But first, as we talked about in the previous show, Arizona just finished this year 9-3. To say that is overperforming expectations, I think would be putting it mildly. Remember, going into this year, I was very much in the camp of just get to a bowl. Just get to a bowl, and that is a massive victory because, again, Jedd Fisch inherited a program that was on a 12-game losing streak, won one game his first year, then won 5 his second year. Then you're thinking, all right, well, if you can just get to that 7-win or that 6 or 7 win, get into a bowl, you got all the upward momentum in the world. Jedd Fisch said, no, we went from 1 to 5 wins. We will go from 5 to 9 wins. And that's exactly what they did. They improved it by a good percentage. And a big part of that too, obviously, was the improvement of talent. And again, Jedd Fisch talked about from day one that he had a specific type of player that he was looking for. Not only did he have a specific type of player that he was looking for, he wanted to go out and get those, and it was going to be on him and his coaching staff to be able to identify who those players were. And he's done an amazing job. As we've talked about, the 2022 recruiting class is going to go down as maybe the best in school history. Noah Fafita, T-Mac, Jacob Cowing, Jonah Coleman, Jonah Savinea, Wendell Moy, on the defensive side, Ephesians Prysock, Takario Davis. I mean, I can just keep going on and on and on. That is it's a smorgasbord of talent. And then what he's also been able to show is that he knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to recruiting the portal. Guys that we have not necessarily thought of as being big time prospects have turned out to be big time players under Jedd Fisch. Let's just use Hunter Echols, obviously, as an example. Hunter Echols did next to nothing during his time at USC. And then once he got to the U of A, 5 sacks. And he was an impressive player. Then Taylor Upshaw, 4.5 career sacks at Michigan. He gets here. He's got 8.5 in his 1 year. They've shown they know what they're doing. Again, Tanner McLaughlin, kind of the same way. The dude was at Southern Utah and comes here and is now an NFL caliber tight end. Gunnar Maldonado, even. Again, my bad, Gunnar Maldonado. I look stupid after what all my criticism of Gunnar Maldonado, or dumber than usual. Another transfer portal guy. Then DJ Williams obviously was a very nice little pickup as well. Just a very talented group of players that Arizona has been able to get from the transfer portal, and I think that's something that that goes to the evaluation skills of this coaching staff. And Jedd Fisch said when he got here that everybody on the staff has to recruit. Now, a big part of it, I think when coaches come or when staffs come in, and we saw this with Rich Rodriguez, where you get the coaching staffs that, you got one guy on there that's kind of the maven. He's a smart guy, but he doesn't really recruit. Jedd Fisch, though, totally different. Jedd Fisch said everybody's got to recruit and everybody's got to be able to evaluate. And you look at it, and this staff has done just that. I mean, you look on the offensive side of the ball, from a Brennan Carroll to a Kevin Cummings to a Scotty Graham. Scotty Graham, another great one that Scotty Graham hadn't even been a coach before. And comes in, and he's been absolutely flawless there. You look at Kafusi. I mean, you can keep going on and on down the list. There has been a conglomeration of just talent. And then on the defensive side as well, Jedd Fisch is known when I got to get rid of a player, when I need to be able to when I need to be able to get rid of a player or a coach. Again, it's nothing personal, just not a good fit. Dwayne Walker was not a good fit last year for Arizona. And not only was Dwayne Walker not a good fit, Arizona was able to find somebody in Richardson that was just a better natural fit. Also, you bring in at this point, say a Dwayne Aquina. Again, Dwayne Aquina. A lot of coaches wouldn't have done it, because you look at Dwayne Aquina's resume, and Dwayne Aquina's resume is, to put it mildly, very impressive. I mean, this guy's coached 3 Thorpe Award winners, a ton of dudes in the NFL, first-round picks, obviously one of the best defensive backs coaches in college football history. A lot of coaches that are on the up and up would not want to bring somebody like that in. They'd say, well, I got my staff here. We're doing what we want to do, and this could cause problems. No, there was none of that with Fisch. By all accounts, Dwayne Aquina and Johnny Nansen have meshed perfectly. But again, that is a big part of being a coach, is knowing that I got to be able to get certain coaches in here. I got to be able to get certain guys. And you know what? It's on me to be able to make this work. And I think that's kind of what's impressive about this entire situation, is that he's been able to make all of this work. This is, like I said, it's not something that is easy, especially when you're dealing with coaches, you're dealing with egos, you're dealing with a lot of different things. But he's shown from his staff that, yes, they're going to be recruiters, and not only are they going to be recruiters, they're going to be very good evaluators of talent. I mean, just look at it. We talked about it yesterday. This team is deep across the board. On the offensive side, on the defensive side, there isn't one unit. There isn't one position unit, and you're like, ooh, yikes, that's not good. There's none of that. Because again, this staff has been thorough. This coaching staff has been thorough. And not only is this coaching staff been thorough, again, they can evaluate. And that means that these guys all need to get paid. Now listen, it's University of Arizona. It's not Texas A&M. Again, I'm not really breaking any news there. You all know that, but the Arizona, though, is prepared to pay this coaching staff far more than it's ever paid any coaching staff in the past. And again, that is something that we are going to break down. What exactly does that mean, though? What are those numbers? What does that mean for Jedd Fisch? What is he looking for? But first, eBay Motors. eBay Motors, my friends. All right, here's the deal with eBay Motors. Let me find this little now, if you're like me and you know nothing about cars, and you're like, all right, well, I don't want to keep getting fleeced by these car dealerships. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I want to get these parts, and I want to outsource it to somebody that I trust. You're a smart person if you do that. As a matter of fact, you're a very smart person. Do it. ebaymotors.com, my friends. ebaymotors.com. The right fits, the right part, the right fits, the right prices. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Only available to U.S. customers. But again, check it out. They're here to cut out the middleman who's going to overprice you for some part that he got for $80, and he's going to tell you it's $380. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. And again, you will thank everybody later, because again, you're going to save money in your pocketbook. And who doesn't like saving money in their pocketbook? Again, eBay Motors. Again, if you want to save some money, just like Arizona fans need to do to be able to pay Jedd Fisch, check it out. eBay Motors, the right fit, the right prices, the right eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we got to talk about paying Jedd Fisch. Now, I know a lot of people were very concerned about what does this mean then? What is this? All these different job openings that came open. First, it was Michigan State. Michigan State, they paid Jonathan Smith from Oregon State. Jonathan Smith is now at Michigan State. We do not have to worry about Michigan State. Then Texas A&M. That one always felt like a really bad fit to me. I never really bought that one. I didn't like that one. I didn't like that fit at all. That didn't make any sense to me at all. And honestly, sometimes I think you got to go with the right fit. Obviously, Texas A&M can pay a ton, but that was never really, I don't think that was ever a really seriously bandied about option. Then UCLA, I mean, Jedd obviously likes Southern California. I mean, his wife likes it as well. And you know the old saying, happy wife, happy life. So that's that's a big part of it. But UCLA is going to be keeping Chip Kelly around for another year. So that's obviously good news for Arizona. So what does this mean then for as far as Jedd Fisch goes? Well, you got to get Jedd Fisch. You got to get Jedd Fisch into that $5 million range. You just got to. And by $5 million, I've been also saying with escalators and whatnot, then you can maybe, get into that 6.5, 7, but you got to be able to pay the man because again, he has drastically outperformed his contract. And honestly, in the past, and we got to give Dave Hickey credit here, Arizona's not paid its coaches anything. Arizona has been kind of a bare budget department when it's come to paying its football, when it's come to paying its basketball coaches. That's just kind of the way it is. And that's obviously not something that is a great look by any means. But I know that Arizona, and on top of that, I think a lot of Arizona fans always say, well, why don't you just get Artie Moreno? Those dudes don't give any money. Artie Moreno hasn't given anything. Robert Sarver doesn't give anything. Those guys don't give money. So this whole thing about, just go find somebody and they'll take care of the contracts, that's not really ever been applicable to Arizona football. It just hasn't. And I think that's something that I think fans need to understand because there isn't this magic wand. What this does mean, though, is Arizona is going to find this money, but rates are also going to go up, my friends. You hear Arizona football fans say all the time, don't care what it takes, write Jedd Fisch a blank check. And a lot of times these people don't even have season tickets. You got to get season tickets. And guess what? Those rates are going to go up. But that's also the price of success, my friends. When you do well, you got to pay more for your product, and that's what's going to happen. So again, all these people that are saying, pay Jedd whatever he needs, well, you guys also got to be able to do that as well. But Arizona feels very comfortable that they're going to be able to get this one done. And again, I think that Jedd Fisch has a very good relationship with Dave Hickey. He's got obviously a very good relationship with President Robbins as well. And those things matter in this day and age because, again, not many no programs really took a chance on Jedd Fisch. As a matter of fact, how many people here in Arizona were like, what the heck kind of hire was that? Because it just didn't make any sense. He was kind of he kind of just traveled from job to job, wasn't really there long, and you never really knew what was going to happen. That's obviously changed, and that's obviously changed in a big way. So again, you got to be able to pay him. That's what you're looking at right there. We're going to get to the assistants in a minute, but again, you got to pay. Listen, I also think that at the end of the day, there are jobs that Jedd Fisch that are dream jobs. Florida is a dream job for Jedd Fisch. But right now, think about it this way: if you're a top 10 program like Jedd Fisch, like Florida is, I'm not sure that you can make I'm not sure that right now you can hire Jedd Fisch off one good year. And I think that's, especially, and I think that's just kind of the way it is. I think a lot of programs are like that. It's difficult because, again, and I'm not saying Jedd Fisch is that guy because I don't believe he is, but a lot of coaches, a lot of programs have had one really good year. And then they fall back, whatever the case may be. They lose their momentum. We've seen it here up close at Arizona with Dick Tomey, with Rich Rod, et cetera, et cetera. So it's about sustaining it. And if you're Jedd Fisch, you're looking at that roster next year and you're thinking to yourself, man, I've got an absolutely loaded roster next year. So if I can put together 2 straight awesome seasons at Arizona, then you're really a commodity. Then you really are a commodity because, again, you would put together 2 seasons where Arizona was nationally relevant. The closest that's probably ever happened was Dick Tomey with 94 and 93 and 94, but 94 obviously didn't live up to expectations that I think a lot of people were hoping for as well. So that was not that certainly wasn't a foregone conclusion. But again, if you can consistently make Arizona a winner, you become really a hot target then for a variety of different programs. And what's also fascinating about it too is then maybe you start looking at it and saying, man, I can be the Lute Olson of this program where everything that I do is mine. I own everything. And I think there's something to be said for that, quite frankly. If I own absolutely everything and I'm in charge of it all, I think that there's something to be said for that. And I think Jedd Fisch is, again, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. But I also think that he knows that he can compete very favorably in the Big 12. Again, And I think with the kind of talent he's got coming back, and we talked about it before, I mean, this is a loaded roster he's got coming back. You got Noah Fafita coming back. You got Jonah Coleman. You've got T-Mac. You've got Jonas Sabanea. You got everybody on the O-line except Jordan Morgan coming back. And then, in positions where you're losing players, you like a Michael Wiley or a Tanner McLaughlin. You got dudes behind them. Obviously, Jonah Coleman's going to start, but then you got 4-star guys out of high school like a Rayshawn Speedy Luke Pham or a Kean Burnett, dudes like that can really, play football. And then on the defensive side of the ball as well, it's kind of the same thing in that, yes, you're going to lose Taylor Upshaw for sure, but you also are going to have dudes like a Russell Davis and Isaiah Ward, players that have obviously shown what they can do. And not only have they shown what they can do, they've shown also that they can get, basically it can do kind of everything. They're just needed that time. And I think if they get that time, they're going to be good. Now I do think with this squad that it is fair to say that right now Arizona is in a spot where you got to be able to pay this coach, because again, Jedd Fisch, at this point, that he's going to get talent. And he also said, though, in his press conference that not only does he know that he's going to get he's interested in staying, obviously, but he also knows that his assistants have to get paid. And not only do his assistants have to get paid, they got to get paid well. And that's what we're going to talk about next. What exactly does paying well mean? But first, PrizePicks, my friend. PrizePicks. All right. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks.com, Locked On College. Let's say you know a player or somebody that you're like, they're a little bit better than people are giving them credit for. PrizePicks. That's where you get on there. Not only you get on there, you can, like I said, you can make a little money. Plus, it always makes it a little bit more interesting, my friends. Check it out. PrizePicks.com, Locked On College. You will thank me later. Again, it's fun. It's fun, and I think everybody knows that you can have a good time doing it. It's good, clean fun. And if you got maybe a little bit of a, a guess or something as to what could happen, check it out. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Now let's talk about the contracts for the coaches. All right, so I don't want to brag, but yeah, I broke it that right now for 2024, Arizona is going to be able to pay its assistants $4.8 million. That is a bump of from 3.7 million. So you do the math, I don't know, a little bit more than 20%. And then they're hopeful for 2025 that number can get to about 5.2. That is significantly more than what Arizona has ever paid for its assistants in the past. And that's something that we can't take lightly. That's something that you have to say, that's some impressive work, because again, in the past, Arizona's not been able to pay its coaches very well. And that's obviously been something that I think has been a little bit of a source of consternation for some of the previous coaches here. You've got to be able to pay your coaches. And not only do you have to be able to pay your coaches, you got to be able to pay the assistants. Now, listen, some of these assistants are going to end up leaving because that's the price of success. Again, Johnny Nansen, probably, if they have another good year, Johnny Nansen is probably going to be in line for a big-time defensive coordinator position or maybe even a head coaching spot. You never know. Brennan Carroll, obviously somebody with that name, that background, and the success he had, he's going to be in demand as well. You got to be able to pay these dudes. So again, I think 4.8 is definitely moving in the right direction. And again, Jedd's a loyal guy. He said that the first thing that he's got to have happen is that his assistants have to be taken care of. And I can guarantee you that his assistants very much appreciate that, because, again, it'd be very easy for Jedd Fisch to say, well, let's take care of me. I'm the leader in the clubhouse. But, again, loyal dude. And honestly, Dave Hickey, President Robbins know exactly what they have to do here. Not only do they know what they have to do, they know that at this stage in the game that these guys are deserving of it. And, again, like I just kept saying, you guys are going to – everybody out there – get your season tickets. You're also going to have to pay a higher rate for those tickets. Again, that's the price of success. But this feels like the first time, too, that Arizona football maybe ever has been sustainable in that it doesn't feel fluky. It doesn't feel like you built everything up just for one good ride. It feels like, all right, this is a staff that gets it. And again, Jedd Fisch, everything that he said has turned out to be true, from his recruiting vision to his to the players that he's been able to bring in, and to the way that he's interacted with the community. Can't really say enough about what the man has been able to do. And again, you got to pay that dude. So again, Arizona knows what it's got to do. The coaching positions have pretty much dried up. And again, Jedd Fisch is going to get a nice little contract extension, I would imagine, and so will his assistants. So that's kind of where it's at. But again, big tip of the cap as well, too, to Dave Hickey and President Robbins, because again, I didn't see this hire working out. Quite frankly, I thought it was a bizarre hire. None of it made any sense to me at all. And guess what? It went out and it's worked. So that's the next step, is getting him locked in, because next Arizona's got a bowl game, most likely the Alamo Bowl. And then after that, you're probably also going to have a game, or you're probably also going to have something where you go into 2024 as a preseason top 10 team, top 15 at the very least. The hype around Arizona football is going to be next level intense. But on that note, as always, appreciate you guys making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Again, we're going to be back with you tomorrow because, again, we got basketball, the number 2 ranked team in the country. We're going to talk about them. Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats.